with respect to the Incredible India campaign, so it's been 17 years and it's seen a huge growth. And before the campaign, the number of people trickling into India was, barely as what we can compare to today. It's time for 2.0. And what do you think 2.0 should entail?
So when the Incredible India was launched, we were at a peak of a crisis. The Twin Tower blast had taken place. There was war in Afghanistan. There were travel advisories against India. There was attack on our parliament. At the peak of that crisis, we launched the Incredible India campaign. And we, at that point of time, we used to get about 10 to 15% of our hotel occupancy. So the challenge was to create demand. And, that was a time when Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand had all stopped their campaign. Peak of that crisis, we launched Incredible India, and the challenge was to bring consumer demand back. It was a resounding success story. We used to get about 1.5 million tourists. Today we get about close to 10 million tourists plus. It was a marketing-led strategy. What it led to was that because tourists started coming in, we opened up our skies, we had many more airlines, we had new entrepreneurs, we could build new airports. Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore came as a consequence of that. But it's been a long while, and we need to constantly invigorate. We constantly need to rejuvenate. We constantly need to bring in new dimension to our marketing. And therefore, Incredible India 2.0 has just been launched, and it focuses again at the strengths of India. India is a young nation, but it's an ancient civilization. It's important to focus on its strength. What is its strength? Its strength is its spirituality. Its strength is its yoga. Its strength is its meditation. Its strength is its Buddhism. Its strength is the fountainhead of the world civilization. And its strength is its great strength of giving peace, contentment and solitude to the people of the world. You can have a lot of wealth, but you won't have peace. At the end of the day, India gives you peace. It gives you silence. It gives you solitude. It gives you prosperity in your mind. And that's what the world needs today. And that's what Incredible India 2.0 is. It doesn't look at the Western world. It looks at India from another perspective. And that perspective is that today's world is about experiential tourism. It's about rediscovering yourself. It's about a destination that actually enables a tourist to discover himself based on the culture of India. And that's what the world of today is looking at. It's not looking at sun, it's not looking at sand, it's not looking at sea, which was the triple S. Today's tourist is looking at a destination which actually enables him to give back to the destination, to learn from that destination, and to experience that destination. And that is the uniqueness of India.
That's great. Someone once told me that everything material that can be found or manufactured is found in China, but everything that gives you contentment can be found in India. And so that was his logic of dividing his travel schedule. Would you say that there is a new breed of travelers who would want to find that inner zen and that inner contentment, and therefore travel to the east and bridge that gap between the Oriental and the Occidental?
Yeah. So, the Indian concept of what is the world looking at? I mean, the Western world has created enough wealth. It has created prosperity, but it doesn't have peace. It doesn't have, a sense of inner strength. And what is the concept of beauty in the Indian concept? It's not about external beauty. It's not about putting great facials or lipstick. It's about that beauty comes when you have peace, that you have God residing within your body, and when you associate these gods, when you are internally happy, then you look beautiful. And therefore, if the people of the world want to be happy, and that's what the world is looking for, happiness. And if you want to be happy across the world, then you need to be internally happy. And your mind, body, and soul have to be in sync with each other. And that is what India teaches you. India teaches you the art of internal happiness. And when you are internally happy, and when the gods residing within your body, when they are happy, then you look externally beautiful.
That's great. In terms of tourism as a sector, There are two sectors which create a huge amount of employment in India: tourism and retail. Now, retail is growing constantly, but tourism has not really picked up to the level at which retail is growing. So, how do you think that there could be a major spurt to it? And do you think that spiritual tourism would give that much needed kick or the fillip that the sector needs?
So we must understand that tourism is essentially regional in character, world across, Europe, America, it's all regional. Unfortunately, in the Indian context, the South Asian region doesn't work. It doesn't work for various reasons, one of which is the hostility which arrives from our neighborhood. But in the long run, if tourism has to grow, I mean, if Pakistan tourists have to come to India, Indian tourists have to go there. Similar case with Nepal, similar case with Bangladesh. And if this started happening, then the entire region will grow in terms of trade and tourism. But South Asia as a region doesn't work, and therefore India extends its region to the Southeast Asian region. And we need to expand this further so that Southeast Asian tourists come here. But India, these are destinations which do not have large number of tourists. We must understand this. So India is a long-haul tourist destination. 91% of our traffic which comes into India comes by air. And therefore you need to open up your skies. You need to open up your skies in a very big way. You need many more carriers, and India has now built up new airports, world-class airports. They are some of the finest airports in the world. So you need many more international tourists to come in. But India's strength also lies from the fact that it has a vast number of domestic tourists. Bengali tourists traveling to Rohtang Pass in Himalayas. You have South Indian tourists traveling to Punjab and so on. So we have almost 800 million domestic tourists who are traveling, and they are a big source of driver of India's economy in itself. So I think tourism will grow, tourism will expand, and tourism will continue to prosper, both on the strength of domestic tourism and on the strength of external tourism as India opens up its skies. And as India has now opened up, it allows visa availability very easy. It's become very easy, it's simple, it's digital. So visas, you can get also electronic visas. So I think that will enable many more tourists to come from across the world. But retail is growing, it's expanding. We have a number of, we allow 100% FDI in retail. And as India becomes the middle class society, retail business will be the one which will achieve quantum jump in the days to come.
In terms of destinations, the internal tourists that we have, they of course choose their own destinations. The Bengalis travel to a certain place, the Punjabis travel somewhere else, and South Indians, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to attracting people from outside of the country, are you a big fan of promoting the country as one big destination, or choosing 5 or 6 specific destinations and going hammer and tongs for it?
Yeah, India is a very large country. It's bigger than 24 countries of Europe. And it's very easy to market a single product destination. It's easy to market South Africa as a wildlife destination. It's easy to market Mauritius as a beach destination. It's very difficult and complex to market a very large, complex destination like India. And therefore, the closest word which comes to India is incredible. India is truly incredible because it has all the products. But I'm in favor, when you do international marketing, to look at some of the great destinations. Look at 8 circuits, 9 circuits. Promote them, market them, vigorously put them out in the world market. And it should be a world-class experience from the point of arrival to the point of departure. It should be a seamless experience, so that from the airport itself till he departs, they have a unique experience which is truly Indian in nature. India must not ape the West. India must go back to its roots. And that's the experience which the world is looking at.
You keep talking about India must go back to its roots, and I've heard that before in some of your previous interviews as well. And I remember you mentioning that when you started off at the Incredible India campaign, it was very difficult to sell off India as a destination to tour promoters and tour operators, because they wouldn't really be with you, never mind the fact that you were willing to spend money to buy entire brochures after brochures. From that point to this point, it's been almost 2 decades. What is your experience now when you try to sell India now?
Oh, it's a quantum jump forward. I mean, it's a big jump forward. And I think the traveler of the world today realizes how significant, how major, and how unique is the Indian experience. And therefore, tourists from across the world want to come to India. There are some minor hiccups once in a while. You have some incident, you have some issues, but I think we always override that India is a very large destination. So people love to come to India, and those who've come to India go back as better human beings. I've rarely heard a story of a tourist coming to India and not gone back with a great experience.
That's great. Now, in terms of building entrepreneurship within the tourism sector, there's not many great examples coming out of India. I mean, all the great examples of TripAdvisor, Trivago, or Airbnb, most of the models have been built outside of India and they're replicated or they find a branch within India. Why is it that we do not have that entrepreneurial chutzpah or that fire in the belly to push start? Tourism?
There's some great examples of great products which have been created. If you look at the CGH Earth in Kerala, it's a great example of boutique resorts. It's one of the most unique examples of some of the finest boutique resorts, which are very, very truly classy, but very Indian in character. I think if you look at Nimrana resorts, again, it's a great example of products which are very, very Indian in nature. So Indians have done some great work in travel and tourism. If you look at airlines, Indigo, what a great airline it is. It's an Indian airline. I mean, it's created by an Indian. It beats every other airline in the world. So great examples of Indians who are doing extremely well as far as innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship is concerned in the Indian travel world.
When we talk about spiritual tourism, we understand that from our context because we're primarily a spiritual nation. But most of the West that we're trying to sell this to are people who are either atheists or they do not believe in any form of a supernatural power or existence. Given that, and given that 90% of your audience does not really understand the importance of being spiritual, how do you market a huge destination and emphasize the fact that you will go back as a better human being, as you said before, for a spiritual destination like India?
So the important thing to understand is that the world has a lot of wealth. I mean, the Europeans, the Americans have achieved a lot of prosperity. They've created a lot of wealth. But along with that, they're all stressed out. They're all stressed out. They don't have internal peace.
And you think India is a great stress
And
buster?
I think it's the greatest thing about India is that it's the ultimate stress buster. I mean, when you combine yoga with Ayurveda, with meditation, it enables you to achieve that ultimate harmony of body, mind, and soul. And that is what the world, the Western world, is looking at. They have everything, but they don't have peace. They don't have mental peace, and that is what India will give you.
One last question for this segment. The man who's created this incredible India experience and this tourism experience for millions of people around the world, which is his getaway spot, his favorite getaway spot?
Well, I've worked in Kerala for long, and I prefer the Coconut Lagoon in Kerala. There's a resort called Swaswara, which is which is a great ashram. It is like an ashram. It is like a spiritual ashram where you can do meditation, yoga, Ayurveda whole day, and when you're through with it, you've achieved great happiness with yourself. So I think these are two great resorts I like